All right. So one of the biggest things that I get asked is about peptides. What are peptides? Can I use them? What are they? Are they steroids? I mean, I get asked all kinds of things about peptides. But today, specifically, we're going to be talking about a healing peptide called BPC-157. It is a repair and recovery aid, and we'll dive into what it does and how you can implement it into your own program if that's something that you want to do. So, first and foremost, what are peptides? So, peptides are short chains of amino acids that act as signaling molecules within the body. They can trigger things like tissue and tendon repair. They can reduce inflammation, support systematic healing overall. Essentially, they are kind of like the knight in shining armor. You have these peptides. They go out and they do the good deeds, right? They go out and repair, or reduce inflammation, and just overall help with the body in some way, shape, or form. You want to think of these as like recovery messengers within the body. Many peptides mimic natural hormones or proteins, and many are used in a performance medicine, injury rehab, which is what I've used it for in the past, and just overall everyday recovery. So with BPC 157, what is it? Now, a lot of people don't know this, but BPC stands for Body Protection Compound, and it's originally derived from gastric peptides. Now, BPC 157 specifically helps accelerate the healing of soft tissues, tendons, and even the gut lining. And depending on which method of administration that you use is going to change what the goal of BPC 157 is going to achieve for you within the body. So the benefits of BPC 157 are it works locally to heal the exact site of the damage in itself or that inflammation. And it's best used for acute injuries or areas of a repetitive strain. So, like for me, the acute injury that I had last December, where I tore my meniscus, BPC 157 definitely helped me repair that to some degree. Now, I've also had clients to where they've had things like tendonitis, or just achy knees, right? Things of that nature, areas of repetitive strain, things like that. That's also where it can be used as well too. So if you look at it from what are the benefits of it, faster tendon and ligament recovery, it's going to promote angiogenesis, which is blood vessel growth, which is also going to help repair that area quicker. I guess is the best way to put that, because more blood to that area, more recovery, and nutrients to that specific site. It's going to reduce pain and inflammation to a degree. It's not a painkiller, but it can help speed up that recovery process, which kind of as a secondary benefit will reduce the pain, as far as that time duration, right? And then it supports gut lining, integrity, and digestive health as well too. Now, as far as administration, so BPC 157 can be injected either near the injury site in itself. You can take it either subcutaneous, like in the belly fat, or you can take it orally. Again, this is dependent on the goal. So, talking more about this, if you're somebody who needs help with gut repair, gut lining repair, things like that, it would be very beneficial for you to take the BPC 157 in its oral form. They come in both pill form and a sublingual liquid form that you would hold underneath the tongue, let it dissolve, and then swallow. Now, if you go the injection route, this is going to be more or less for those other acute injuries. Now, there are some studies that will say yes and no, that site injection specific targeting is going to be the best bet. I personally did not do that. I did not want to inject a needle into my knee joint. Personally, I didn't want to do that. So I just stuck to the subcutaneous belly fat and injected it subcutaneous there. Now, if you know anything about medicine, in an essence, right? You have this thing called the first pass effect. So if you take any kind of oral medication, it first has to go through the digestive process to get to where it's going to be into the bloodstream, right? Well, during that process, it's going to lose some of its integrity, some of its potency just from going through that digestive process. So, as for me, If you're not using BPC-157 for the sole purpose of gut repair, go the injection route. Because if you take the oral administration route, it has to go through the digestive process first, and you're going to lose some of that potency th- through that first pass effect, is essentially what that is. Now, the most effective protocols are going to be like short term and very targeted for what you need to get fixed. So, like for me, when I had my knee surgery, mine lasted about 8 weeks. It was several shots during the week, and it was a very short term and targeted protocol to get this knee healed up as quick as I could. Without also digging too deep into the piggy bank as well, too, because this stuff isn't cheap necessarily either. But if you're using it as far as like, injection wise, again, you can either do it near that injured area or just subcutaneous belly fat. Again, there's no strong evidence that shows that site injections, like specific site injection, is going to help in any manner. But I mean, what could it hurt, right? If you want to do it that way, that there's no reason like detrimental effects. Um, Anywhere from 200 to 500 mcg per day. A typical cycle of this should last 6 to 8 weeks. And you can stack this with TB500, which is another healing peptide that we won't dive into today. But these two typically will work synergistically to help aid in that recovery process. I actually use both BPC-157 and TB500 for my knee healing protocol. And I have had several clients do it as well too. Now the big question is, should you use BPC-157? So peptides can be a powerful tool, but only when used intentionally. These are not replacements for poor training, poor sleep, poor nutrition. All of this needs to be on top and first priority before you even think about using peptides. Peptides are not the magic drugs. Peptides are also not steroids either. Just because something is injectable does not mean that it's a steroidal agent. But nonetheless, they do get a bad rep because the majority of them are injectable. Now, these are ideal if you have stubborn injuries, being older, elbow pain, knee pain, ankle pain, whatever, or if you are training pretty intensely and you stay injured all the time, this could definitely help. It can help shorten downtime and boost that soft tissue healing, but you should also consider them as advanced recovery tools, not shortcuts. So, just because that you went in there and had a knee surgery, like me, did that did not dictate me going into the gym and um, throwing any recommendation or not erring to the side of caution while using these. This was just like an extra boost, essentially. This was added in alongside of everything else that I was doing to possibly help my knee get better as quickly and, I mean, as stable as it could be. Now, for sure, I have to mention this as well too. These peptides are considered research compounds, and if you order them offline, you will see that they are for research purposes only, and not FDA approved for human use whatsoever. Still, many people report, including myself and several of my clients who have used them, positive results with very minimal side effects. Now, they're not allowed in most tested sports, like any natural confederation, like bodybuilding sports, things like that. They do go against the WADA guidelines. Make sure that if you do go and buy some, that you do verify that the source is legit. You're not buying bathtub water out of somebody's house. That is very sketchy. Make sure that they are vetted by a third party specifically. Now, there are some side effects to these, and they could include like fatigue. Some can include like stomach irritation as well too, like upset stomach, nausea, things like that. And injection site irritation. If you inject, you may have a little bit of redness or soreness in that area, but typically that goes away fairly quickly. And then finally, just long-term safety data is limited with this stuff as well too. So all this goes to just say that if you are going to be using these peptides in any way, shape, or form, to just know what you're doing. These are, I would say, more on the safer side, or for sure. Um, but again, just for legality stuff, do not use these. These are for research purposes only. If you want to be a lab rat like myself, go ahead and try them. But um, any questions, any thoughts behind that? I know that I've used BPC-157, TB500. I have thought about using a peptide labeled as Glow, which has BPC-157, TB500, and GHK. I can't remember which substrate it was, but it was those three combined into one liquid. And it's kind of like the step above BPC-157, and TB500. But um, outside of that, haven't really fooled with a ton of peptides myself, outside of those handful. But
Do people typically run like the peptides? Do they run them in cycles, I guess? Like if they're going to implement that, like if they don't have an injury per se and they're just running them for like general recovery overall.
yeah, but at some point, they probably start hurting in their wallet, I would say,
Sure.
because these things they do get rather expensive, like rather quickly. Just because I think when I was taking the BPC 157, one bottle of that was lasting me like 5 days maybe, and it was like
Oh,
fifty
wow.
dollars a vial. I mean, so it does stack up quick. I don't think there's any like data that shows that like long term use at a lower dose like really has any like negative connotations to it. Um, I would say that it's if it was me and I had the money to blow on it, I would probably use it a lot more often than I do, but I would probably still cycle off of it. Number one, unless you just love being a pin cushion and just love putting yourself in your stomach every day, sure, go ahead. But at some point, I would at least take, I don't know, if you're on it for 6 to 8 weeks, at least take 6 to 8 weeks off, just to kind of give your body a little bit of a break.